Understanding organizational behavior as a leader might help you stop a crisis from ever occurring. Welcome to Great Transition Strategies Monday Morning Stand-Up. 5 minutes to get your week off to a great start and potentially give you something to help make you a more effective leader so you can love what you do. We're going to take a look at the organizational culture that helped cause the mishap of the Space Shuttle Columbia. Admiral Gehman, 4-star Admiral, was the chair of the investigation committee. I had a chance to listen to him talk about the lessons learned about organizational culture and how that might have helped cause, and how that did help cause the disaster. First, what am I talking about here? Organizational behavior. When an organization is under stress, what does it do? The organizational behavior is completely predictable, according to him, and which I've taken a look at a number of organizations. I agree with them. Number one, an organization that is threatened is going to go into self-protect mode. If the organization thinks it might not exist anymore, it's going to go into self-protect mode, exist above all else. That's number one. Number two, how's it going to do that? It's going to trivialize, it's going to do a trivialization of what the problem is. Let's use the Columbia disaster as an example of how that happened. And as we do this, I want you to think about your organization that you're leading and see how this lines up with something that you might have seen in your organization or maybe in your industry. Right, first, Space Shuttle Columbia launch, piece of foam fell off the rocket, damaged the spacecraft, damaged the shuttle, which when it came back in, caused a hole in the wing, caused the aircraft to break up on its way back in, spacecraft to break up on its way back in. It had happened before. This was not the first time. Therefore, engineers were thinking, oh, this is not a problem. Well, it actually was a problem. If they classified this as a problem to flight, well, what had happened is it would have made everything stop. They could not fly the spacecraft again until that was fixed. They made it a mechanical issue, so it didn't rise to the level of stopping the program. Why'd they do that? There's a lot of organizational pressures that were working on those engineers and the folks making the decision. Columbia was to support the development of the putting together construction of the International Space Station, 3 years behind schedule, 100% over budget. The Columbia, which was part of that program to fly up to the space station, had over the past 2 years been delayed 13 times. If NASA was unable to meet certain windows, budget's going to go away, space station program might go away. All these threats to its existence were coming into play. Now, these engineers knew they had all these pressures on them. And they thought, if we don't get this thing launched, that's a problem. We might not exist anymore. What did they do? They trivialized it. They had studies. They had conferences. They had other meetings. What are we going to do about this? And they looked at this as a mechanical problem, engineering problem. How are they going to solve it? They trivialized it. They do all those things. Now, take that, think about your organization. In your organization, have you seen anything that was a threat to the existence of your organization? It could be a new leader coming in. A new leader comes in and wants to make some changes. You can see how folks will hunker down. We're not changing. We're going to do what we need to. And what they'll do, they'll go into the self-protect mode. And they'll trivialize what that individual is doing. There might be other change that has to happen where you're pushing on the leaders of the organization. This needs to happen. What are we going to do about it? So now as you look at your organization, what are the lessons learned out of this? One, you know that the organization is going to, one, go into self-protect. Two, it's going to trivialize what it is. The lessons learned out of this for you as a leader are, number one, be observant. How do your leaders deal with threats to the existence of the organization? Learn from them and see if that's what they're doing. Are they doing things that are just totally going to self-protect? Number two, you be a bureaucratic warrior. How can you solve things? There's more than one way just going up the chain of command. What are other ways that you can help solve the problem in your bureaucracy to make sure your voice is heard? And that way you can bring to light, hey, there's a problem here. Last one, when you're fighting this battle, don't make it personal. Make it about the mission. What is our overall mission? Why do we exist here? If you have to go through Gary to get it, and Gary's always shutting you down, don't make it personal. Make it about the mission. Gary, this is about safety. This is about what we're all about here as an organization. So as a leader, realize if there's a crisis to the very existence of an organization, it's going to go into self-protect mode. It's going to trivialize. It's going to take a lot of time for things to get done. What can you do? Pay attention to how they're doing it. Understand your bureaucracy, how you can get things done in the bureaucracy, and focus on the mission. Hope you found that helpful. See you next Monday morning, 8:30. Have a great week.